Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. When I came to India, first I was in Bombay, in Chinmaya Mission, studying Vedanta. And from there, I went a few times to the Satsangs of Nisargadatta Maharaj. He was still there. And I asked him, Maharaj, I'm studying all these things, hearing, I'm reading, I'm seeing all these wonderful things. You are Brahman. You are that divinity. Why? Why is all this hearing, all this reading, all this thinking, all this contemplating, why is not doing anything? And he simply replied, it's because of ignorance. Yes. You are that pure divinity. It has never changed. How come then this ignorance is establishing itself in such a way? People have been functioning in this way since a very long time, forgetful of their own pure divine nature and functioning as separate individuals. And this has created such a strong program that invariably, when a baby is born, except a few rare exceptions, already pick up that program and forget immediately their divine origin. Still, it is more transparent in the beginning. The baby still has a very active connection to that essence. You can see it in the eyes. You can see it, how they are functioning. It's not always with brooding about things, but it simply spontaneously functions in bursts. But then, from the beginning, there is that bombardment of thoughts, of emotions, of words, of instructions, what we are, how we are supposed to function, what this is all about, and more, we just gobble that up. And instead of removing that program that has been already imposed on us, making it stronger and stronger without being aware of it. All the conditioning that we are picking up and then influencing our thoughts, our emotions, our actions, our reactions is unconsciously being reinforced all the time if we never stop and look at it. That's why this ignorance seems to be so strong. That even if we think and hear and read and contemplate in the other directions, even when we hear about the divinity of our own true nature, somehow the conditioning is still keeping us functioning in our own usual habitual way. The job is to become aware of it. The job is to have the courage to look at oneself honestly and see how we are functioning. See honestly how we are always creating obstacles to simply let go and be aware of that pure divine nature. The habit of functioning like this is so strong that even if we are convinced this is not as I used to think it is, and not as limited, as powerless, a victim of circumstances as I used to think, the habit takes over again and again, and we have to have the courage to look at it. We have to have that real, profound courage to honestly look at it and stop excusing ourselves, stop justifying ourselves, but just see that is how it is functioning. Not in a judgmental way, not thinking, oh, I'm bad, I'm not good enough. That helps absolutely nothing. No, simply see, look, if I look properly, how my mind is working, how my emotions are coming, how I'm hooking into them, how I'm defending my petty little personality, my petty little position, how everything is centering around that. When we see that, then we can start to sincerely, profoundly work on it and let go whenever we become aware. Let go of all ways of functioning. Even if we succeed sometime, then the habit will boom, pull us back again. So we need to have that courage, that determination to just do that, to be honest, to have that sincere, honest, conscious look at ourselves. See the functioning, see it is just this conditioning that we have picked up that is reinforcing that ignorance, the ignorance of our true nature. It is not really a difficult thing to do technically, but somehow it seems to be difficult to break through the barrier of resistance that is in our mind, that is always ready to defend whatever silly things that are happening, whatever silly reactions we are having, instead of seeing how silly it is, instead of doing our best to let it go, defending. It is that conditioning that stands in the way of being natural, of being naturally what we are, of being aware what we are. Then we can play that human role, knowing, okay, it's temporary, the game for some time, collecting experience, learning, growing, expanding, but the essence is not changing. It's that essential divinity that is just enriched through the experience, that the experience of that divinity can become more powerful, more expansive through the wealth of experiences we have in this human form. If we look at ourselves, if we really honestly see what's going on, then it's also not difficult to have the motivation, because we see all the ways we have desperately tried to create happiness, they don't really function. For a moment, it seems to work, and it's immediately it starts already to crumble down again. And even in those moments that it seems to work, it's not really that the happiness comes from the things that we thought they bring the happiness. They just gave us the chance that for a moment we were relaxed, that we didn't struggle against the fact of the experience, that we didn't think it should be different and why is it like this, but just let go. Once we have a good closer look, we see that happiness comes out of our own selves, because joyousness is a part of that divinity. It need not be created. It's there. It's always there, even if we are not aware of it. In the context of that, I mentioned something Marie has written to me. She has seen in an old satsang that once I advised her, even if she struggles with certain circumstances, with certain reactions, and then is aware that those thoughts are coming, we need not go along with those thoughts. And she asked me, can I expand a bit more? It's in the same line of what I have been talking. Out of habit, we just, instead of getting rid of certain mechanisms that we are just, we just have accumulated. And out of habit, we are just functioning like that. Instead of letting them go and getting rid, we have the tendency to defend them, to defend our position. But it's not no wonder that I feel like this in those circumstances. Let's say something is happening in our life again and again, and it always gives us like a bump. And then the thoughts come, oh, there it is again, and it's terrible that this is happening. And then that experience definitely is getting heavier, getting worse. If we have a good look and we see these kind of thoughts coming, we see these kind of emotions building up, then we have the possibility to step a step back. And instead of hooking into the line of thoughts and going along with it, instead of feeding the emotion that pulls us in a dark space, we can just observe, okay, out of habit, this is coming, but I am observing. I'm not affected. It helps very much to keep in that, to stay in that observation, that position of observing, by simply watching what it is doing to our experience right now, physically, energetically. See when those dark thoughts are coming, when those heavy emotions want to build up, how it is affecting immediately the physical experience, the energetic experience. And by seeing that, we have the possibility not to continue doing that, but then simply focus on that build-up of unnecessary tension and darkness, and relax and let go. We cannot necessarily always just stop a line of thoughts. Eventually, it may be possible, but if a strong line of thoughts is there, and even if we say stop, it still continues. So let's not fight with those thoughts. When I said to you, Marie, the, just don't go along with the thoughts, I didn't mean that we have to somehow, with sheer willpower, try to control them, but then see the thoughts, think them consciously, let them come, but see what they are doing. See how they are affecting your experience and relax. Let it go. Don't make it into a new story you feel sorry about yourself. That is what is usually happening. If there is a reoccurring difficulty in our life, the tendency is that it's happening again, and there I'm feeling sorry for myself. Oh, it's there again. Oh, and make it worse. Just see, okay, this is happening. My usual habitual reaction is immediately coming. See what it is doing to your body, how it's cramping, how it is creating tensions, and consciously relax. Let go those cramps, let go those tensions, and just be. And then when we are not feeding those destructive thoughts and emotions, they don't build up and become stronger. They are there for a moment and they disappear by themselves. We don't have to willfully control them. That's what I meant there by not to, we are not obliged to go along with the thoughts. But we can do that only if we are aware. As long as we are not alert, not aware, invariably the thoughts come and the whole attention is being pulled in that direction. And then the tendency is that the same dark thoughts go round and round and repeating themselves, creating more and more a sense of heaviness and not well-being. We don't have to go along with them. Redirecting the attention to what the thoughts, the emotions are doing right now is a very efficient way of detaching from them, observing them, and then disabling them. Instead of making them stronger, taking the strength away from them, and they lose their power, the habit gets less, and eventually it's simply no more happening. All right, now I stopped talking all by myself. We are 18 people here, so I'm asking you, my friends, is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome to do so.
Hi, hello.
Hello, Leora.
I want to ask about energies, and it's a bit connected to what you spoke about. Like I walk around, there's his energy, her energy, my energies,
Yes.
the, the energy, and then there's also good energy and there's bad energy. And I think I feel I'm going a bit um, too much about it. I'm not sure if it really works so clear, like his energy, my energies, I don't want his energy. I feel I'm going too much with this.
Right? If you are in the presence of somebody, you cannot avoid that there is an energetic connection. Immediately it happens. You come somehow in the same room and it's there, whether you like it or not.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, there is only energy. There's not his energy, her energy, the energy, my energy. There is just energy, but it's manifesting differently because it's filtered differently. I have a way of dealing with energy, and my state of consciousness will color the energy that is radiating. And then it seems that's my energy, but it's that energy that is just colored by my personality, my experience, my emotions, my way of functioning, my state of consciousness. And so it is with his energy and her energy. And of course, somebody who is not in a nice conscious state, a troubled person, will color the energy like this. And it's not a pleasant energy to deal with. Still, if you come close physically, you can't help it. The energy will mingle. So you can, of course, if possible, a bit go back, not get too close, then it's getting weaker. You can do all kinds of things to create shields, trying not to let the energy in, but it's quite a job, it's quite an effort. And I think it's much more helpful to put the effort into our own experience. That in spite of an unpleasant energy that comes, that instead of struggling with that, that then you center in yourself. Make your own energy strong. Make your own energy balanced and relaxed, but not struggling and fighting with the other energy, and then you become very transparent. It just passes through. It's one mentally a little effect is there, but then as soon it's over, it's gone and not the problem. So we cannot avoid all those different flavors of energy. It's the same energy. There is just that pure energy at the base, but it's flavored in so many different ways, and some flavors, they are very appealing and supporting, and others, they are disturbing. And even the disturbing energetic influences, as long as we are living in society, we cannot avoid them. So we can learn to be in such a way centered that they simply flow through you and don't leave a trace.
Perfect.
We have to become stronger ourselves, not struggle with the other flavors of energy that are around. And stronger means to be more and more capable no matter what the circumstances are and how unfavorable the energies are there around us, that we learn to stay in that center, that we stay in that aspect of us that is not affected, where there is peace in spite of the turmoil in manifestation. Becoming stronger means to increase that capacity. And the more we can do that, the more we can basically be in any energy and get not affected. Or very little superficially, momentarily, the moment you are out of it, it's gone.
So just something I would like to emphasize to clarify. When you say we color, or I feel maybe I reflect my inner opinions and my inner everything in my brain. So that is tiring, and that also makes it more difficult to actually stay the way you just described now. There's a lot of sort of intellectual activity regarding the issue. At least I feel like that.
Right. As I said, it depends our state of consciousness. And
Yeah,
according to our state of consciousness, we also produce more or less disturbing thoughts. And
yeah.
it's our disturbing thoughts that feel our unfavorable emotions that after that filter the energy that is radiating from your manifestation.
Yeah.
So thoughts by themselves are not bad. You can be centered and still there are thoughts, but they are in harmony with yourself. They are not destructive, but they are in harmony with the essence. And then they are not giving a heavy flavor to the energy that you are radiating, but actually something very beautiful.
Okay. Thank you. That was beautiful.
You are welcome.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
This energy, can you describe it as vibrations too? Because there's a guy who, very old book, like 30 years old, The Laserman's Guide to Enlightenment, and he talks a lot about vibrations, and that it basically means changing the levels of vibrations, and other people affect you with their vibrations.
Yes, you can express it like this, that the energy, after all, is always alive. It's always waves. So you can call it vibrations.
Yes, he said basically, and so what to do in with the vibrations? I mean, is it to open up or to slow down the vibrations or make them more harmonious?
I think you should not too much wreck your brain what exactly to do with the vibrations, but simply use that conscious effort to be in your peace, to stay calm as good as you can. And then that is taking care of the vibrations all by itself.
Like the stuff you said in the beginning.
Yes.
For me, it seems that in my thinking, the problem is like the identification with the body and mind that comes in automatically as soon as I'm conscious. And it's very hard to get out of that, isn't it?
Well, then don't struggle with it. Observe the body, observe the mind, and already the fact that you're observing, you become aware, okay, I'm aware of the body, I'm aware of the mind, but there is something that is observing, that is not affected. Then the clinging identification starts to diminish gradually by itself.
Recently, I'm thinking about different levels of like alienation and Fremdung.
Yes.
There, that I'm before I start meditation, I was like completely alienated from my body and feelings, and I'm getting closer, but yeah, it feels like I'm still a lot alienated from my true self.
That,
As soon, yeah, or like,
that
yeah.
you cannot possibly be. But
I know that you say that.
but it feels like that. The experience seems to be like that, that we are alienated from our true nature. But we cannot really be apart from that. But we produce an experience that feels like that. And that experience is sort of alienated. Still, it's only possible because you are there, you're there in your true self. Every time you're turning the attention back, every time you stop in your actions, instead of just thinking and feeling and emotionally reacting, you stop and observe. Actually, you're already touching consciously that essence. It's not something strange, alien that finally we have to find. It's that most familiar sense of presence that is there all the time. We just overlook it all the time. That sense that we are touching. When I say I, then immediately that awareness, most familiar awareness is there. But then we start to think and already we color it again. But first, no matter how much we are changing, physically, emotionally, intellectually, that first most familiar sense of presence has been there all the time in your life, even when you felt totally alienated. When you say I, without the thought for a moment, there is so something that unmistakable, and it has been there when you were little, Andreas, and when you grew up 20 years old and 30 years old, and changed a lot physically, emotionally, intellectually, and yet there is that one thing when you said I, which was there when you were a little boy or 20 years old and is now there. So that true nature is not something far away, that somehow something alien that we somehow have to discover. It's the most familiar, but we just take it for granted and overlook it and then build up all the other things on top of it.
I think I understand this a little bit better now. That this is the thing that is always present and makes, but I always try to like evaluate it. It's the right thing.
Right.
Um,
to put it in its place, huh?
yeah, or try to have a look at it.
Yeah.
And this is a mistake, I know, because it's not. It's not in a subject-object relationship.
Right,
I
that's the
understand
thing.
that.
Because when we do that, we try to grasp it. We try to somehow understand it, have an idea, a clear understanding, a clear notion what it is. And of course, all these attempts, they are futile. There's no way that you can understand what you are. You are what you are. But you cannot understand. As long as we are understanding, we're standing under. And we come to the center here now. That habit of wanting to somehow get it, grasp it, is still that I hope that I as a person get it and grasp it and get enlightened as a person, and then I'm an enlightened person. But me, I as a person stand on top of it, and that's simply not working.
How can I let go of that, because it's especially like the analyzing and evaluation thing is very strong in me. And
Yes. When you see it, then you say, aha, I see you, Andreas. There you are again. What is that? Is this prior to that? That just being, that sense of presence. And then you come that back with your attention for a moment, and then out of habit it sneaks in again. How can I explain it? How can I understand? And when you see that, oh, there I'm going again. But what is prior? And relaxing that. And sometimes it may happen that you just are there. It's there consciously. You haven't made an effort. There's a moment, effortlessly, there's just that beautiful peace. And you don't feel the need of evaluating it, but it's just there. And then the old habit starts, there we go again. But then you remember those moments and make them into your guideline. I, as a person, cannot let go of the person. That's the tricky thing. But I, as a person, can sort of make myself available that it can happen that clinging to the personality that is separate just disappears for a moment at least, maybe for a period. And then the old habit takes over, we fall back, but still those moments of grace, they give us a pointer. I didn't do it. It's not a particular magic trick that I used, but because you're meditating, because you're introspecting, you are making yourself available, and then it starts to happen. And so what we can improve is to be more alert about making ourselves available without trying to, I as a person has to really do it.
yeah, not doing anything is very difficult.
Right? It's impossible for the person. For the person is the past. It's the story that always wants to create the future. But there, in the past, in the present, in the future, that there is something timeless. And by coming back again and again, that sensitivity is opening up to that which is prior to that continuous accumulation of the facts in the story. That simple sense of being. And then there are the habits, and then we continue. But if we sincerely continue, even strong habits eventually they loosening up and they stop torturing ourselves.
Yeah, after all, my life seems to get easier.
Right. So that's a good thing.
So would you advise of just, for example, I mean, like try to be with the sense of being instead of, like in my Buddhist practice, I always try to be aware of sensations and feelings and stuff like that and become very, very fine attuned to that.
Right. That's a very good step. That's a very good exercise. But then while observing the sensations and learning to let go, open up to that growing awareness of that sense of presence that is there, that is making that whole experience possible. Not getting completely locked on the level of observation of the objects. The object, not necessarily the objects that are around your body, but the objects in our mind. in our body, the sensations, the thoughts, the feelings. Observing them is turning the attention in the right direction, but then don't get too much stuck on the details of that observation, but relax in that observation. And in relaxing, that sense of presence becomes more to the forefront all by itself. You don't have to make a new effort to somehow catch that sense of presence. It's more like you observe the sensations you are observing that brings you in the present. For if you observe a sensation, you are not in the past or the future, it's now. If you observe your breath, it's now. If you observe your body, it's now. But then learn to relax in it. And that relaxing all by itself opens up that awareness of that sense of presence that has been there all the time.
Yeah, if only I could stop evaluating it.
Yeah. Then when you catch yourself, then you say, okay, enough of it. Just step a step back.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Bye.
Hello, Nava. You are still mute. Ah, there you are.
There we go. Hi, Werner. A couple of things I want to ask you. First of all, it's something that Ram Dass said, and I think it has to do with what we're talking about. And he was fairly old when he said this, and he said, after all his years with his guru, after all his years of practice, after everything he had done, he hadn't gotten rid of one of his neuroses. Exactly. And obviously he was a very different person, and he knew that. And I've thought about that a lot. Does it mean that all of these, well, neuroses is a good word, all of these neuroses of ours, it's not that that's what goes away, but that other things become stronger?
Right, the other thing comes stronger, but then those neuroses that create obstacles to that inner awareness, they do have to fade away. Otherwise, that obstacle is still there. There may be aspects that are not so important and one need not be too worried about it, but there are certain mechanisms that just too efficiently always prevent us from being in that natural way, existing naturally. And then they have to go away, they have to weaken. And it's possible that you may get rid of all kinds of things, but certain aspects don't want to go. And usually it's because we still holding on to that fear of letting them go, that something precious is getting lost. Even if we intellectually know better, that deep-rooted fear is there. If I let that go, then what? There's nothing left. And there is a fear of it. So let's not get analyzing about Ram Dass's situation. We would have to discuss with him to know what he really exactly meant, but that doesn't mean let our mechanisms stand if we are becoming aware how destructive they are. Then they need to be addressed. There are other mechanisms we see, okay, they are part of the role, they are part of the personality, but they are not really an obstacle, and then we don't need to worry about those. But everything that is strengthening that sense of separation that me against all the others somehow needs to be addressed and weakened. That's the job.
Okay, like one of my tendencies is when something difficult happens in my life, I start to worry. And I worry about other people and what's happening to them. And it's very difficult not to do that. And you can call it a neuroses or whatever. I don't think it really matters. But it's my reaction to things that happen to other people.
Right.
Okay, and so one big difference lately is I know it's not going to last forever, my feeling like this. I used to feel like once I'm in there, I'll never get out.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know that it will pass.
Yeah.
Okay, but other than that's partly the difference for me between emotions and thoughts. The thoughts I can watch.
Yes.
But once the emotion is there, it kind of sticks.
But then when we become aware of the emotion, then it's the situation is different. As long as we are not quite aware that the emotion has creeped in and getting stronger and stickier, then we cannot really do a thing about it, as long as that awareness is not there. But when we become aware, oh, yes, that familiar feeling is there again in those situations, and learn to observe it, learn to recognize it, and then we can also actively deal directly with emotions by seeing how they are influencing your experience right now, what they are doing to your body and to your energies, and learn to relax instead of building up the tensions that they are usually doing.
So I can be aware of how I feel.
Yes.
But I'm not quite sure, you're saying to relax around that. I'm not quite sure what that means or how to do it.
Consciously, when you feel, okay, I know how I feel that feeling, that emotion again. It's not a nice feeling, it's a rather an emotion that pulls me down and makes the experience heavier. Then redirect the attention to very specific look what exactly is happening physically when that is there. Watch what it is doing physically. And there you see how that kind of emotion is making the body more tense. How that kind of emotions has the tendency that we start to cramp up in different places in the body. And when you see that, then you work, instead of directly trying to struggle with the emotion, you simply start to relax physically. All these tensions that build up usually and sustain that emotion, and then the emotions get stronger and the tensions also get stronger. And when you address the tensions and relax your legs, relax your feet, relax your shoulders, see how the body starts to relax, then after that the emotions starts to lose the power.
That's very helpful because it's something to really work with.
Right? It is.
Yeah,
It
no,
can,
that's very helpful. Yes.
an emotion is always connected with the energy, and the energy, the flavor of the energy is very much influencing the physical experience. If we becoming more aware, then we become aware. It's like every thought is sending a wave of energy through the body, and the emotion is sending a sustained current of energy in the body. But as long as we are not looking in that directions, we may not be aware how tense we get physically. But if you consciously then see, okay, that the emotion is there again, what is it doing to my experience right now? Start on the easiest level physically. See what it is doing, and then just consciously relax as good as you can.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
No, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Ariel.
Mario.
Or is there anything else you wanted to talk?
No, actually, I got both in because it seems they were connected. I didn't realize at first that they were, but yes.
Good. Nice.
Thank you.
Ariel. Ariel.
Mario.
What is needed is not really difficult. We need alertness, but then we simply have to do it. And then not get sidetracked by all those things. But as long as we are doing, then we are still the doer and undone. As long as all these mechanisms are active and disturbing, then we are doing so much to create tensions, to create pain without being aware. And there is absolutely nothing wrong of doing something about it, that this process is reversed. And it's not really difficult, but it needs the determination that we really give attention. That in the situation that we remember, okay, instead of just going on in the usual habitual thoughts and emotions, let me deal with the situation differently. Look right now what it is doing. See how it is affecting my experience. See what it is doing to the body. And there we can give the impulse to relax. And if there is a center of pain or something really cramped, don't try to go in the center and relax that. Just relax everything else that you can good relax. Relax your legs, relax your feet and your arms and shoulders. And if the main part of the body is starting to more relax, then also that center of difficulties will start to relax easier. And if we physically relax, then also the energies start to relax and start to flow. As long as we are cramped, it's like we are creating knots in the flow of energy, and everything seems to be difficult and painful. If we relax and the energy starts to flow easier, then the experience becomes easier. We are doing so much to keep on functioning in the old grooves without being aware that we are doing that. And we can consciously direct the attention to that and then do something about on the level where something can be done. That is the way how we are making ourselves available, that after that grace is manifesting, that after that we become aware, there is something that is absolutely unaffected and I need not hold on to that old conditioning, that old habit that is there. Where I'm going again talking, is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome. Hello. Mariam?
Hi. Yes, hi, Werner.
Mm.
Yeah, I wanted to come in because I think it's very important, the topic we are talking about, and the thoughts about how hard it is to let go neurosis, which I see as internal conflicts, kind of brought me to another question that came up inside of myself, which is more related to like trauma and relationship trauma, and the fact that when you experience that or have experienced it and then come into a similar situation again, or yeah, for example, you experienced it with your parents, and then when you see them again, they know how to push your buttons, and the
Yes.
trauma is right there again, you know.
Yeah.
You are not talking of the past because your body remembers, and
Yes.
it's you come into a dysregulated nervous system response.
Yes.
And for me now, I can feel it because I can be open. I think, yes, I have a relationship trauma like that. So I know how it is that when I say the pushing the buttons, it's really like, it's a moment and my heart starts pounding and I get like the feeling of my whole body is shaking, and, you know, like an overwhelmed feeling of maybe also helplessness and shock. And so it's a series of different body reactions and emotional reactions. And I can watch it, but it's really fast.
Yes.
And most of the time, as I experience it, I come not to this moment to relax. It's not possible. It's just, you know, it's like fight or flight.
Right.
So I start maybe to run away, or I start to shout or to say something, you know, when someone is, I feel attacked, or I don't know, I feel like my space is invaded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I ask myself, so yeah, I mean, yeah, what to do with it, with these trauma responses in Advaita Vedanta teaching? How do you see this? Yeah.
Of course, when the trauma is there and the situation comes, and there you are in the midst of the situation, it's not easy to simply be detached. Or then we become aware that the response is there when we are already full in action only. And then maybe we just have to let it go, get through the situation. But what is happening once the situation is past? It still continues. After that, there is the after effect, and the emotions are there, and the thoughts are there, and there you can start to work on it. There you can start to observe, because then it's not more the uncontrollable immediate response, but then it's what is churning in our mind after that. And there, when the memory comes, hey, wait, now I can do something. At that time, you remember the situation, you remember your feelings, opening up to it make them come again stronger. But there you may have the possibility that it is not too fast, but that you see it coming and you see how it works, and there you can see how it is functioning physically and consciously relax. And if you do that consequently, you will catch yourself earlier and earlier, and eventually, because the trauma loses its power, you may be capable in the situation itself, where it was hopeless before, to do something about it, that there you become aware, the response comes, but now I just let go. So, how we are keeping this traumatic responses is very much not simply because of the events, but what happens after that in the mind. And maybe if a heavy thing happened for a long time, that it's churning and churning and churning, and instead of having then learn to see it and learn to relax there, we have somehow kept it alive and made the trauma stronger. And there we can hook in. And even if it's not a strong experience, but something happens and if I become aware, oh, I got again completely pulled by the old reactions, and then see what the mind tries to do, that I have all the whole right to be like this, and it's no wonder that I'm like this after all that I've experienced. Then let that go and just see, remember the situation. And that brings up the emotions again, that brings up the energy. But in that situation, you are capable of really observing also how it is functioning, how it is manifesting itself in the body, what it is doing to our body, and learn then to relax.
Mm-hmm.
And so every time you do that, the old habit that has been built up and crystallized is loosening, getting a bit weaker. And eventually, and you will catch yourself earlier and earlier. And eventually, same situation may come and you will be capable to deal with it. And the fear of such situation and reacting like this will also disappear.
Mm. So you think somehow that it's possible to transform the trauma response into can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
yes.
because I think my battery is low.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I hear perfectly well.
Okay. So you give us hope.
Strong, deep-rooted stuff may take its own time. But if we are patient and persistent, no matter how strong it is, it can be removed completely.
Mm.
It's
Yeah,
not,
okay.
it's not something that is natural to us. It's something that has been put in, and then because how we have reacted, we made it stronger and stronger. And once we see that, then we can consciously do the opposite. Make it weaker and weaker and weaker until it's still going, simply going.
Mm. And just another question, because it's actually yesterday I came home and I had this situation with my mom. It was about what triggered me was how we had a beautiful tree in our apartment, which was really big in the living room, Hummelbaum. And just the last weekend or last time I was here, I was so in awe of this beauty and how tall it became. It was like a tree. And I think I grew with it. You know, it was like one of my friends, my
Right.
tree friend.
An old friend. Right.
Yes. And I came home and I came through the door and then I saw how you say, like the topf, in which the tree was put. And I mean, and I saw that there was a tree, but it was cut down. And I asked, what is this? And she told me she had destroyed it completely because the television needs more space. So that triggered me in a way because I was shocked. I don't know. I was just shocked that my friend, I mean, was gone and that she not even told me that I don't know. It was like,
yeah.
It triggered me so much. And I felt I had to do a ritual for the tree to say goodbye for myself. And then again, she and my father triggered me because they found me having a ritual for the tree. I mean, it was all about this conditioning. You're like, a tree has no no soul and
Mm.
like you don't have to be sad about it. It's not normal that you are sad about a tree. We can buy a new one. I mean, it was like, whoo, it really, yeah, this blew my mind. And I mean, I did, you know, like for me, energy in motion, it's emotion is energy in motion. So I was drumming in my room and I was a bit chanting and singing, and I took this tree, part of the tree, and I put some stones in it, and I felt like I do my, you know, goodbye, farewell. And it was very hard to realize that my parents just don't understand that I have to do it, that they have, yeah. So this was a series of triggering me, and I believe, yeah, it gives me hope if you say that if I go through it and observe it, and I was observing myself and I am still, because it's still here, like you say, that it will be less, but still it's like a shock for me when people are acting without feeling. I don't know, it's very hard for me.
I can very well understand that, the whole situation, but what is making it still something that's sticking is that you're holding on to that I'm right, they are wrong.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that. It's true.
Emotionally, you do that. That from your perspective, it's so totally obvious that you are right.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to understand that they cannot see it, but from their perspective, they just don't function like this. So I can understand that in the moment there will be a moment of upset, but then give them a bit leeway that they are the way they are. You cannot really change them. What you can change is your response to it. And if you feel in such a situation that you have to do a ritual, then maybe try to do it discreetly.
Next time I will do it discreetly so no one knows about it.
Yeah, so that you don't have another discussion and confrontation about that one.
Yeah, you're right. I live and learn.
Still, I mean, you have the full right to explain them your experience, your feeling, your attitude about it, just to make them aware. You can also think and feel very different about the same things. But then if it's ending up in a fight, then usually there is not much constructive about it.
Yeah, that's true. Absolutely. I agree.
So examine yourself when it's there and boiling, how much of it is that I'm right, why don't you understand? Of course you're right from your perspective, and of course a living tree is a living being, but from their upbringing, from their conditioning, your attitude is strange. So you can accept that's how they are functioning.
Yeah, okay. I will go home and try this.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Werner. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Well, now as we may come to India, whether there is a way to be in touch with me. Well, one thing is every Saturday I'm available here. And I think Nava, if you are on Facebook? Otherwise, I can also send you, I can put the comment at the end with my phone number. There you can reach me on WhatsApp or on Telegram or on Signal.
Okay, I don't do well on Facebook. I don't really get it. So if you could put the information there.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, you have Facebook, haven't you?
I have it, but I never understand how to use it, so
Oh,
I
okay,
don't
okay.
use it.
Then let's
Okay,
leave Facebook. At the
yeah.
end, I will write the number, huh?
Okay, thank you.
We have still some time. Is there anyone who would like to come in? You're welcome.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly. Oh, you are also out in nature. Very nice.
Yes, yes, I enjoyed sitting near the lake and hearing you, Satsang, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I want to share something about my meditation. Recently, I had my meditation and found that I have a lot of thoughts and some fears came, and it was difficult to detach from them.
Yeah.
And I began to do some exercise and telling that, okay, if this happens, if this is God's God's will, let it be like this, and please, God, help me to live with this.
Good.
And so I began to tell this to one fear and another, and then I found that my head became free from this mental stuff.
Right.
That
Right.
okay, I accepted this, and okay, but my tensions were still in my body, and I saw this this paradox when I didn't have these fears in my mind, but still my tension were like I have all these fears and this anxiety. And I began to breathe and watching my breath, and found that these tensions maybe don't let me breathe carefully.
Mhm.
Like I breathe very superficially, and I began to breathe more deep to follow with this. And it seems to me that it helps when I begin to try to breathe deeper, and found a very, very small, not I can't say relaxation, but tendency to.
I don't know whether you can hear me, Nelly. Your
Do you
picture.
hear, Werner? You hear me? It was a ring, and that's why this was some
I see.
some interference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and I forgot. Okay. Yes, I
You
found
said
that
that when you breathe
helps.
in
Yes.
deeper, it's
Yeah.
helping.
It become to help a little to relax. Yes. By far, I see that tension is big tension in my body, like a cramp. Yes, I don't know why, but I go on doing it, but it takes more time. Yeah.
What did you say at the end?
I see it. Maybe it takes. I don't know how much time, because I try and try, but I see only small tendency to this relaxation. Yeah.
Yeah. It may seem when we are in the middle of it that we are doing a lot of effort, giving a lot of attention and input, and not much is changing, but actually most probably it's changing much more than what you are aware of. But anyhow, what you said in the beginning, it's perfectly right that if you cannot just observe and you naturally sort of cold God, then this is just equally valid way of detaching from that which is creating the problem. And if you observe it and relax it, or if you call to God and sort of give it over to God, it's slightly externally different, but basically you do the same thing. You detach from it and let it go. So however it works is fine. You can combine it, you can do it sometime more like this, sometime more like that as you feel. But the one thing definitely is true, if you consciously breathe deeper, things are getting easier.
Yeah, I see. I try to notice it and
Yeah,
go on.
yeah, yeah.
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 Thank you very much, Werner. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om. We still have some time. If there is anybody who would like to come in and say something, you are welcome. Oh, there I see something is written.
Yeah, it's me. Something is written from
Yeah,
Vikas.
it's fine. It's fine.
So
You
it's
can
connected to traumas. I guess the answer is the same answer, but the work is much harder. When it's post-trauma syndrome, actually,
Yeah.
which is also like ongoing trauma, let's say in the childhood.
Yes.
And so as I say, I guess the work is the same work, but what I feel is that post-trauma syndrome also somehow dictates a lot of my behavior, the way I take decisions, the people I tend to. In my past, now of course I'm more somehow more cured, but in my past, people I get attached to or connected to, etc. All decisions in life. But only recently with the dog, actually, I felt it was a big trauma when they told me that they didn't want the dog here. And actually, what I did, I went to them and I told them that she's a therapeutic dog, actually, for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm post-traumatic, and she really helps me. She's with me all the time, and we show love to each other, and that really touched their hearts, especially the man, and his energy, as we spoke before, completely changed. Now she's with me. She's not defined as a therapeutic dog. Some dogs are defined therapeutic dogs.
Right.
She's not, but I decided to define her like that because this is what I felt about her. So I just wonder if actually the answer is the same as you have answered, Mariam, about dealing with trauma altogether, but more work or yeah.
Yes. I mean, if somebody feels the need to do trauma therapy, one can do so. It may help. It depends always very much also the therapist, not simply the technique of the therapy. But basically, yes, it's the same. The traumas, they're part of our conditioning that, as you say, totally influence our way of behavior as long as we are not quite aware of them and as long as we are not seeing how they are functioning. But then traumas, we can learn to observe them, that we become more aware what really is happening, why we are pushed left or right in ways that we have been pushed all the time without quite knowing why and not being happy about being pushed like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. But then when you, even if, as I said to Mariam, even in the situation, if you are not capable to control the old habit and it's manifesting, but then after that, even if before you decide I'm not more going to react like this, then the situation comes and then boom, there we go. Then there's no point in scolding yourself and thinking, oh, I'm not good enough. But then after that, it still works. When something very emotional happens, then it's not simply gone when the situation is gone, but it lingers and it turns around very much. And there we can constructively start to observe it and work on it instead of keeping it alive, instead of supporting it, instead of justifying it. We can understand why it is like this, but that doesn't mean we have to justify that we keep on doing the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
And then directly work on the experience. Then in the aftermath, then you may be able to see, remembering the situation, see how the emotions come, but then instead of being fixed on the situation and I'm right, they are wrong, or they are right and I'm wrong, or whatever, then just remember and see the emotions and see what they are doing to your experience right now, and there we can start to relax. For relaxing that stuff makes it slowly weaker. And when it's weaker, then it loses its power and gradually it disappears. And even deep-rooted traumas, they can, if we consequently deal with them again and again, then they can be removed.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I know that. Okay, Werner.
Okay, so we leave it at
Thank
that.
you. Yeah,
Hari
yeah.
Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om. Well, I think we stop with this for today. Somehow, because I spoke of it, it came in the same direction, how to deal with our conditionings. It's the conditionings that we have accumulated unconsciously in our early part of the life that define our limitations. And we are not damned to hold on to them all the time. Once we become aware that this is really what is happening, we have the possibility, we have the power, and we have the right to look at them, to deal with them in such a way that they are loosening up and eventually they are not more preventing us from being our own natural self that we really were meant to be. I wish you all well. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.